The cafeteria of Nexus Station's military academy buzzed with the usual cacophony of 100 different species attempting to coexist. Chittering, growling, whistling, and the occasional bioluminescent flash of annoyance filled the air as cadets from across the galaxy lined up for their mid-cycle meal. Near the back corner, 3 Kravik younglings prowled between tables with the confidence of apex predators who'd never known consequence. Their obsidian scales gleamed under the artificial lights. Ridge crests flared in dominance displays meant to intimidate. They were cubs, yes, but cubs of a species that had terrorized 17 star systems before the Galactic Coalition had forcibly civilized them 2 generations prior. The first target was a timid Velen, its 4 eyes widening in fear as the lead Kravik snatched the protein cube right off its tray. The second youngling grabbed a Thalid's carefully prepared algae suspension, dumping it carelessly on the floor while its companions hissed with laughter. The third circled a group of smaller cadets like a shark, radiating predatory intent. Ren Cole watched from across the cafeteria, his mandibles clicking in barely suppressed rage. As cadet leader of his cohort, he should intervene. His species, the Chithar, were respected strategists known for their diplomatic prowess and tactical thinking. But the Kravik were different. They respected only strength, only dominance, and his species had neither in the way that mattered to predators. He'd filed 17 formal complaints. 17. Each one had been processed, reviewed, and filed away with promises of cultural sensitivity training and interspecies mediation sessions. The Kravik cubs laughed at mediation. They wore their detention notices like badges of honor. Rin's datapad pinged. Another cadet, a young Soreth barely into her first molt, had her entire tray upended across her uniform. The Kravik responsible was already moving to his next victim, tail whipping in amusement. The cadet leader stood, his determination warring with his realism. He had to try. He had to, a throat cleared, it wasn't loud. In fact, by decibel measurement, it barely registered above the ambient noise of the cafeteria. But something in that sound, something primal and ancient, cut through every conversation, every clatter of trays, every hiss and chirp. Silence fell like a guillotine blade. Kung Saravan stood in the cafeteria entrance, still in her training fatigues, a tablet tucked under one arm. She was unremarkable by most galactic standards. No scales, no claws, no venom sacs or psionic abilities. Humans were Category 3 Deathworlders, dangerous primarily because of their adaptability and refusal to die when logic dictated they should. But Rin had served under Latine Vaughn for 6 cycles now. He knew better. The 3 Kravik younglings had frozen mid-prowl. The lead one, Scarix, still had his claws wrapped around a smaller cadet's meal tray. His ridge crest, previously flared in dominance, had flattened completely against his skull. His companions had gone absolutely still, the kind of stillness that prey animals adopted when a true predator passed nearby. So, Vaughn walked into the cafeteria with measured steps. She didn't hurry. She didn't need to. "Scarix," she said, her voice conversational, almost friendly. "What are you doing?" The Kravik youngling's throat worked, but no sound emerged. His species didn't experience fear often. Their biology literally suppressed the response in favor of aggression. Yet here he stood, trembling. "I asked you a question, cadet." I was just..." Scarix's vocal cord struggled with Coalition standard, his natural growl breaking through. "You were just taking another cadet's meal." Linnington Vaughn finished for him. She stopped 3 meters away, her stance relaxed, hands empty at her sides. Without permission, again. "We're Kravik," one of the other younglings managed, trying to inject bravado into his voice. "We're Apex..." "You're cadets," Latine Vaughn interrupted, and something in her eyes made the youngling's words die in his throat. "In my training cohort, which means you follow my rules." She turned to address the entire cafeteria now, though her words were clearly meant for the Kravik. "Your species were apex predators on your homeworld." "That's wonderful. Congratulations, so were mine." She smiled, and Rin watched several cadets instinctively lean away from that expression. "Do you know what made humans apex predators?" "Silence. It wasn't our claws, we don't have any. Wasn't our venom, we're not venomous. Wasn't even our strength, though we're stronger than we look." She took a single step forward. The Kravik younglings took 3 steps back. "It was our persistence. Our refusal to give up. Our ability to track prey for days, weeks if necessary. until it collapsed from exhaustion. She locked eyes with Scarix. We ran megafauna to death on our homeworld, young predator. We hunted animals 10 times our size by simply not stopping. So when I see you stealing meals from cadets who can't defend themselves, I don't see an apex predator. I see a bully. And I don't tolerate bullies in my cohort. The Kravik were now pressed against the far wall, their instincts screaming at them in a way their conscious minds couldn't override. Every predatory species in the cafeteria recognized what they were witnessing. A threat display from something higher up the food chain. You have 2 choices, Lieutenant Vaughn continued. You can return what you've taken, apologize to every cadet you've victimized this cycle, and report to my office for remedial training in coalition values. Or, she paused, letting the word hang. You can continue as you have been, and I will personally ensure your instruction in why humans earned their Death Worlder classification. She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. Scarix dropped the tray he was holding. The clatter echoed in the silence. We will return everything, Instructor. And apologize. Good. Lieutenant Vaughn's expression softened just slightly. I'm glad you're capable of learning. Start with the Sorith cadet. Her uniform needs replacing. You'll handle that too. The 3 Kravik moved as if in a trance, gathering spilled meals, offering stammered apologies. Their earlier swagger completely evaporated. Ren Cole watched in amazement as the cafeteria slowly returned to normal operations. Lieutenant Vaughn caught his eye and offered a small nod before departing, her tablet still tucked under her arm as if she'd simply been passing through. Later, when Ren asked her how she'd done it, how she'd subdued 3 Kravik younglings without touching them, Lieutenant Vaughn had simply smiled. Predators recognize predators, Cole. And sometimes, all you need is to remind them where they sit in the hierarchy. Ren learned something important that day. Humanity hadn't conquered the stars through superior technology or overwhelming numbers. They'd done it the same way they dominated Earth, through sheer unrelenting presence. Through the ability to look at the galaxy's monsters and say without words, I've seen worse, I am worse. And the galaxy, for all its wonders and terrors, knew how to listen.